All right. Okay, let us connect to the sample superstore. Let's see. So last class, what we did, who wants to do a recap at least?
Yeah, I want to.
Yeah. Yeah, what are the topics we covered yesterday, guys?
We cover different charts, how to do different charts.
And
Table calculation, sir.
okay. Yeah. Okay, all right. Fine. So today I will, so in this data, normally when we work with the data, we need to organize the data, right? There are different ways. So first we'll cover that today. So that you can move, or you know like what it is first. Okay, now you see in the data, there are different types of icons we see. Right? There is string, there is date, then there is hierarchy. So how a hierarchy is created, right? How a hierarchy is created.
आपका जियो का नेटवर्क मेरे को हॉटस्पॉट दे सकते हैं एक्चुअली मेरी क्लास चल रही है मेरा नेटवर्क नहीं आ रहा मेरी एक्चुअली में क्लास चल रही है मेरा नेटवर्क नहीं आ रहा
Akshay, can you go on mute please?
नहीं आ रहा
Okay, so this is a hierarchy, right, guys? So location is a hierarchy. How do I know? Looking at this icon, this is a hierarchy icon. So what is a hierarchy? So hierarchy will have something like this: region, state, city, postal code, right? So basically, one country will have multiple regions. One region will have multiple states. One state will have multiple cities, like that. How to create this kind of hierarchy? Let me remove this hierarchy. So click on this drop down and remove hierarchy. Now, if you see, now they are all different fields. There is no hierarchy for my location field. But let's say I need to create a hierarchy now. So what I will do here is create calculate now. So sorry, not hierarchy, not calculated field. Let's say the field that will form the first field of your hierarchy. Click on that on the drop down. Wait, my Tableau is little stuck. Yeah, when you click on that drop down, you see there is a hierarchy thing coming up. So there are two options when you go to here. Normally, if there is a hierarchy present, then only you will get this first option, but otherwise it's only that create hierarchy thing. Click on that create create hierarchy and name it location and say okay. So what happens? It creates a hierarchy. You see that icon has come up, and region is the first field in that hierarchy. Now let's say I want to add other fields to that. So what is my other field in this? So country region, that was the first one, right? I didn't add it. So you can now drag and drop. You see when you drag and drop, that black line comes. So basically it tells you that where you should drop or where you want to drop it. So I'll drop it here. Country region, now state, then city, and then postal code. You can drag and drop, or what you can do here is click on this hierarchy, add to hierarchy. Now that location will be visible, or whatever hierarchy you have already created, that will be present. Click on that. Now that location is coming. Okay. So how it works, if I drag and drop, you will always get that expand icon if it is a hierarchical data. You see that expand, drill up or drill down option is coming. So it can be very useful when you show, you provide this kind of thing to the users. They can drill down to the other values. Region, central has multiple states. Now one state has multiple cities, and each city may have more than one postal zip code. So that's how the hierarchy works. So I have now drilled down to the postal code, because postal code is the most granular information in the location hierarchy. So this is how you will create a hierarchy. Normally this hierarchy will automatically come up in the date field, even though you don't create, but still that if you drag and drop any date, it will start with the year, then it will go to quarter, then it will go to month, then it will go to day. Right, like that it goes. Depends on the granularity of the information. Let's say if you have the millisecond, second level information, like hour, minute, second level information, if that information is there, automatically the hierarchy will also show that. Let's say, for example, I'm just trying. I'll change it to date time, and let's say we'll put see. Let's see, we'll get to see the hour, minute, second or not. You see now day has that plus icon. See hour, minute, second. Okay, so because I changed it to date time, right? Now the values became changed, right? It became the date, then the HHMMSS. So that hour, minute, second got added. So that's why in my hierarchy also I can drill down till second level information, right? Any question on this? All right. Also, right now I do not see that, but you can also create folders. Okay, you can also create folders. What are they? Let's say when you create any visualization, there could be tables with hundreds of columns, and it is in real. I mean, it is. I mean, you may not use all the 100 columns for your report, right? You may be using 10, 15, 20 columns. But what about the other columns? So in case if you do not want a lot of clutter in this data pane, what you can do is you can create folders. So if you go here, click on the drop down, and there is something called group by folder. Let me not do that. Let me not click it. Let's say I want to keep all the things that I do not need. Just for example, go to this, go to any field, let's say customer name, group by. So there is something called folders here. Always click on the field for hierarchy or folders, create folder, and let's say folder one, or let's say I'm just giving a name, something like that. Okay, now you see this is how it would look like. Normally a folder, how it looks in our drives, right? So customer name, I can add, let's say regional manager, you see, and let's say I will add all of it for the timing. Let's say, you see now if you just minimize it, now data will look much cleaner. All your unnecessary information will be clubbed into one folder, or let's say you want to club only the fields of certain type into one folder, and you can manage properly. So that is another way to clean your data. You can create a folder like this, and you can put the fields. So you can have folders for selected data types, so that you will not have to search always. Just go to that folder and you can select what fields are there. So that is how a folder is created. This is how a hierarchy is created. This is how a folder is created. Okay. Now let's say now what icons do we see more? Now you see there is a clip icon, right? So what is this clip icon? This is basically a group. Okay, this is a group. How do I know? Looking at the icon, and also when you click on this drop down, you will see this edit group option will come up. It will not be present for any other field. Let's say I'll go here. Now you see there is no edit group. Okay, but here if there is this clip icon is available, you will see this edit group icon. So what it is and how it has been created. Let me just click on that, what is already created. You see now there are a lot of groups that has been created, right? Let's see if I just click on this echo. You see these are some values are part of that echo. So what are these values? Let me do one thing. Let me put manufacturer and product name both into rows. You see what is happening here is echo is nothing but all the product names that starts with echo are clubbed together. All the Acme starts have been grouped into Acme, right? So just to better manage your data, clean your data. So this is kind of a group. You can also think it like a if then logic that you write to create a group, right? Let's see how this group is created. I'll just remove this and I will do here one thing. I will just duplicate this field so that I will not touch the original field. Now it's a group. Now what I will do here is, and I will say edit group, let's say, or not even copy. Let me delete this. I will create a new field, a new group. Let's say I will call it manufacturer new based on this product names. So what I will do, I'll click on the field on which you want to create a group, go to create, and there is something called group. Okay. Now you see all the distinct values I can see here, all the distinct product names, all the distinct product names. Let's say I want to group them together now. Let's say 3M, all the 3Ms I want to put into one bucket, which is called 3M. So select it and say group. Now you see automatically it is now grouping it, but the title, it is kind of concatenating all the distinct values. So I don't need that. I'll just change it to 3M. Hit enter. Now one group is created. You see, one group is created called 3M. Similarly, if I want to group all the echoes together, so what you can do here is instead of selecting manually, we can make use of this find members option here. So I will just type ACCO echo, and there is something called find all. The moment I click on find all, you see all the echoes are selected. I didn't do that, automatically it got selected. Once it is selected, the next thing I just need to click is this group. Okay, now, and I'll give it a name echo. Enter. Now echo is part of, all the echoes are part of the group. Now let's similarly, I'll find for Acme. Now you see when you do that, right, there bottom there is something called contains. Contains means it's a like operator, right? Wildcard like operator you use in SQL, right? Where the product name like AC, ME, percentage you put that, right? That is the same thing is happening with contains. Now there is something called starts with. Starts with means it will always look at like if that particular product name is starting with the string that you have defined or you have put input. Exact match, it has to be exact match, otherwise it will not work. Okay, exact match where you in where condition you write like where product name equal to. So that is a exact match. And when you put that like operator, it is a not an exact match. It could be a contains, it could be a starts with, depending on how you're putting those percentages, right? Now let me do for Acme, and let's say find all, and let's say ACME. Now all the Acme's are put together. Now let me do for Adams. Find all, group, Adams. Okay. And let me do one more, Advantage. Okay, all the Advantages are selected, group, and call it also Advantage. Okay, now all these things are created. Right now there is something called a include other option. Now let's click on this. What is happened the moment I click on include other? You see all the other product names have been grouped into this other bucket. Now if I click on this, now you see everything is cleaned up properly. We have already categorized all the product names starting with 3M, Echo, Acme, Adams, Advantage, now and also other. And now what I just need to do is I can just need to say okay. Now this is the product name group one that we have created, but you can rename that. Just click on it. It will open that rename option, or you can drop down, click on the drop down, and you can click on this rename option. So let me call it manufacturer name. underscore new, hit enter. Now let's say if I just put this, now you see all the values are clubbed already, and let's say you can then do your further analysis based on that. Is bound to happen because we have a lot more other products present for others, so that's why you see a big bar for that, and rest all are very small, right? So this is how you will create a group, but there is one catch: the group is not dynamic. Okay, the group is not dynamic in the sense, let's say a new value gets added tomorrow with same name acne, it will not be part of this group, you have to manually add it. So that is one drawback of group. Otherwise it is really easy to create because you are looking at the data in front of your screen and you are doing that. The same thing you could have written a if then logic, that is also possible, but if you know that your data is not going to change and almost it is going to remain constant, always create a group, and that is how you better manage your data. Now if you do not want something to be grouped, just click on that particular group and you can ungroup it. So if the moment you click on ungroup, now they will all be separate individual distinct values again. Any questions, guys?
Sir, if we use the if then logic, then it will be dynamic.
Exact logic, no, it will not be dynamic.
Okay.
Because see, exact logic, let's say I want to group together all the let's say all the values that starts with, let's say, 80 and 90. If it is exact, I need to give the entire string value. So if I do that, it will not include all the other 80 entities, right? It has
Sir,
to be
you told
exact.
we can use if then logic also. How
Hmm.
to use if then logic here?
Same contains function.
Okay.
There is a function called contains. Okay.
Uh,
So you can, just like the like operator, you can use that contains function to group them together. We will cover in the functions part. Just know that this contains is just a like operator.
okay, okay. Sir.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Now let's say this is about groups. Now we'll move further. Let's say now we will get into the filters part. Okay. How to use this filter? What are the different options we get when we are using the filters? Let's say, so what happens when you use a field into filters, it depends like what kind of field you are using. Based on that, the options are also different. Let's say we'll start with a string value. Okay. Say, let me have a simple chart here. So category and sales. And let's say I will drag and drop, let's say region into filter. The moment I put region into filter, I'm thinking we'll use this. Let me use some other, let's say let me use state as a filter. Okay, now these are different states, right? So the moment I put a string field into filter, these are the different options that you will get. By default, the first one will be a general tab, and in the general tab we have three options: select from list, custom value list, use all. Select from list is basically you will get a list of all values, and you can manually select whichever values you need, and you can say okay. Now you see by default those will be selected. Okay, these states are selected. Now if you want to clear the selection, you can always go here and click on this, and all the values will be reselected. Now let me do edit filter again. Now you see this use all, this is the most safest option to use. The reason being, let's say tomorrow a new state got added to your state column, a new value. So in that case, if you would have done that select from list, it will only select a definite list of items. But this use all will always include everything. The moment the data get refreshed, new values are added, this use all will work. Then custom value list also, let's say you only want few states always, and you know them that you are interested in those, let's say Alabama. I'll just search it. You see, Alabama is one. Then let's say I'll go for California. California, and let's say Georgia. Okay, let's say this is how the custom value list will look. So basically, you know the list of states that you want, and you can just type in and you can just put it there. So now it will only have this list of items. Okay, so this is how the custom list works. Depends, like different use cases, you can use different items. I mean, I'm not saying this is the only way. You can also use that first general tab also to select these items. Okay, but what happens if you do that? It will show up all the other states also, and user can then select. So it depends like what you want to do. So that is the first option of your general tab, 3 values. Now there is something called wildcard again. So this wildcard we are just talking about in while creating the groups. So here it's basically starts with contents, which is the normal like operator, right? The percentage. So that is content. So it can be that whatever string you are mentioning, let's say I'll say something, let's say NA. I'm just saying NA. I don't know if it is there also. Let's say if I apply, there is some states. Let's say, okay, let me put state also to here so that we will see what are those NAs. You see. So I put a filter on state, and in the state I have put a contains which says NA, and all this contains NA in this library. You see it is all at the end of the string mostly, but I have given contains, but that's okay. But let's say if I do change it to starts with, it may fail. You see, if I say apply, you see there are no states that starts with NA, and that's why it failed. You see how it is coming up NA with an asterisk. Normally in SQL we write NA with a percentage, and ends with it will work because we've already seen that there are a few states that are matching with that pattern. And you see that asterisk has moved to the beginning now, and then the string is written. Now exactly matches. Now NA will not work again because there is no state called NA as an exact value. If I do that, it will fail. Okay, so these are few options how you want to use it, and just know that okay, these options are available for a string filter. Okay, okay, now let me just clear the filter. You can clear the filter from here also. You can clear the filter so it will come back to the original position. Okay, now let me put again state into filter. Now there is something called condition. All right. Now what is happening here? So by default it is none. Okay. Now there is something called by field. Let's say, let me turn on the sales first so that we will see them. Okay, these are my sales amount. Okay, it starts with 920 and then goes up to 457,688. Now let me put state into filter, and I will go to condition by field. Now let's say I want to see only the states that has sales more than 50,000. Okay, that is a condition, let's say. So by default, sum of sales is coming because Tableau thing knows already that I have used sales in the field, so it populates that for me. Now, and here I will mention is greater than or equal to 50,000. And there is something called load. If you click on that also, it will give you like what are the range of values that is present in the visualization at present. Okay, so it gives you the minimum value, it gives you the maximum value. And now, I mean, even if you don't load it also, that will work fine. Just for Tableau wants to let you know that what are the different fields available. I'm sorry, different values available, and it gives you that just a little bit of impression that it gives you. Now, if you click on apply, now you see only the values, only the states that has sales more than 50,000 are coming up. The same thing you can write by a formula also. But there is a, now what is happening here, let's say Let me clear it off. I will come back again. I will do that again. Clear filter, and let's say I will use profit also here. Okay, now these are my profit. Now let's say I have a condition. I need all the states that has more than 50,000 in sales, and also the profit more than 10,000. Okay, also the profit more than 10,000. Now let's say I will drag and drop state to filters, and I'll go to condition. And in condition, if you look at, I can only give only one condition: sales and sum of sales. How do I give the profit? Okay, so in that case, I will have to use this by formula option. Here I cannot include multiple measures. So I will use this formula option, and I will say sum of sales is greater than 50,000 and sum of profit is greater than, how much is it? 10,000.
10,000.
Okay. Now I can use this. Let's say I will say okay. Now that you see automatically it got filtered, right? All the states that has more than 50,000 and all the profit that is more than 10,000. So if you have to use multiple filter conditions, you can use that by formula option instead of going with the conditions option. Okay, guys, give me 1 second. I'll be back. Sorry guys, I'm back. Any question here, guys?
No, sir. No.
Sorry?
No doubt, sir.
No. Okay, the same thing you can, whatever we did here, right? The same thing you can also write a calculated field. Let's say I'll remove the state and now I get back to the original position. Now let's say I'll create a calculated field and I'll say, just say I'll sales and profit, something like that, profit filter. I'll just copy paste that formula. What have I put there? Now you see this formula is like this. Normally what you would have written is if sum of sales is greater than 50,000 and sum of profit is greater than 10,000, then yes, then else no. And write something like that you will write. But if you can write this way also, this is a better way of writing, a better way of writing your code. Okay, this is much faster. Can anyone tell me what will be the output of this calculation? What is the output of this calculation?
It gives the sum of sales only which is more than 50,000 and the profit which is more than 10,000.
Yes,
When
that is
both the
true.
condition will meet, it will give only that state.
Yeah, so basically when I say okay, you see, look at the output, the data type, it is a Boolean data type, true, false, you see. So this Boolean data type is always faster than your string or number outputs, right? So if now I can put this into filter and I can only choose the true ones, it will give me the same result. This is a way of writing also, okay? Also, normally how you normally a new people who are not experienced, they will write the same thing like, let's say I will just comment this out. This is how you comment out your code in Tableau, 2 forward slashes. So people normally will write like something like this. If sum of sales is this and sum of profit is this, then they will call it, let's say yes, else no, and okay. Now this is also, this will also work. Let's say okay, now you see this is the output become a string output. It is no more a boolean output, and I can put it here and I can also get the same values. If I select yes, then it works fine. But this, when the query gets executed, when the query execution happens, this will take little longer compared to the first one, because first one was a boolean data type. Booleans are always faster than your string or number. So there is an order to it. First the boolean data type, the faster ones boolean, then number, then string, then the date time, string date time, they are like kind of similar. So always find a scope. If there is possibility, change your data, change your calculation to boolean calculations, guys. Okay. All right, let me remove, let me just duplicate this and I'll remove this. And let me put state again. State to filter. And now there is one more thing remaining here is the top. Let's say you want to show top 5, top 10, all those things, right? So in SQL, you would have to write a row number or rank, dense rank function to show that. But here we can make use of this top filter, where we can tell like by based on what field it should give me the values. Top 10 by sum of sales. Let's say I'll say sales and sum of sales. Top 10 by sum of sales. So now if you say okay, now it is give me top 10 states by sum of sales. Okay. So similarly, you can, there are multiple options, top, bottom, and all those things, and you can type in, like, by default it is 10. Let's see if you want to see 5 values, you can do that. So it will give you top 5 values. Now, if you say 10, it will give me 10 values, right? Similarly, the what we did in conditions, right? We included both sales and profit. You can do the same thing here also. You can write that. Please try out for yourself how this formula thing will work. Okay. Any questions, guys, on this? String filter. Now let's say this is a string filter. Now let's say we'll use a date field and see, we'll see what are different things that we are getting. Let me remove state from filter, and let me, this time I will use this date field. Now the moment I drag and drop this date field, you will see different options because the data type is different. So filter also gives you options based on the data type that you're using. You see, the moment I put a date field, the options are totally different. Now there are two options at the beginning, which are like relative dates and range of dates, but range of dates is in bold because Tableau says that please use this. Okay, let's say we'll use that. Next, now what is happening here is, you see this is selected range of dates. So basically it gives you the entire range of your data. It starts with 3rd January 2018 to 30 December 2021. And if I say okay, and you see if I just say show filter, now this is how the users will see. Okay, and they can click on that and they can pick the date that they want. They would like to choose from this calendar here, let's say 1st February. So they can, or they can use this slide bar option also to adjust and see the values for a specific time range. You can also click on this and you can do some customization. If you do not want this slider, you can uncheck this, or you can do a customize. And if you don't want the show apply button, show readouts, so you can also cancel them. And if you want them, just keep it back. That's okay, as not a problem. So that is one option, filter option. Let me go to the edit filter again. So this is what we used. Now there is something called starting date. So let's say in your data, you want to see the metrics from a specific date in history, and you don't want to see everything. So this starting date you can adjust. Let's say I want to see everything from 2021, 2021 January 1st. Okay, now this is how it will be shown. So the end date will be grayed out because we are only interested in seeing everything from a particular date. So user can control that part. End date will be flexible. End date will be, whatever, based on your data, whatever you have, it will be showing on that. Now there is something called ending date, just the opposite of starting date. In starting date, you can adjust the end start date. Here you will adjust the end date based on like up to what date you want to see the data, you can do that. And if I say, okay, now this will be grayed out, it will show everything from the beginning, but your end date is flexible. Now there is something called special. In special, what happens? Either you show all dates or you show null dates or non-null dates. By default, it will be all dates so that we will not miss out any data. Null dates is basically if there are data that is null. Basically, you didn't receive any information for those. So you can click on this. Any rows are there, but the date is coming as null. Now, if I click on apply, there is nothing because this is a very much clean data and we do not have such issues. If I click on this non-null dates, it will be exactly same as my null dates because I know there are all the dates have all dates, all the fields have all the dates, 98 marks, and the value is whatever it is. So there will not be any difference here. Now let's go to the first option, the relative date. What it is, there are a few more options. So if I say relative date and say okay, now this is how the users will also see. Okay, if you change the relative date, this is how the users will see. They can go and select, let's say they want to see last 6 months or last 5 months, all those things they can control. How that works? Let's say they want to see last 6 months of information. Okay, they want to see last 6 months of information. Some information they are able to see, but let's say what happens if I change it to last 3 months? Now you see I don't see anything. Can anyone guess why this is happening? If the moment I chose last 3 months, I don't see any data.
Because it is taking from today date.
Exactly. You look at this option at the bottom, anchored relative to today. By default, it is from today. And in our data, we know that we have data until 31st December 2021. And we are in April already. So it is more than 3 months. That's why we do not see any data. But you can control that. There is some anchor related to. And if I go here and I choose December last date, okay, and now if I say apply, I would see data last 3 months starting from 31st December, it will go back 3 months. So that's how you will see that option. Okay, so you need to know your data. If when you are using these kind of fields, if you know that your data is getting refreshed every day, you can safely go ahead and use this without giving any anchor date. You can use that so that your data will, you know that your data is always up to date, and this last month, last quarter, last weeks, this week, all those things will work. Last let's say last how many days, let's say last 60 days, whatever you want to do, it all these things will work. Otherwise you need to have an anchor date. So this anchor date is little troublesome because every day you cannot go and change the report, right? So make sure that your data is up to date if you want to use this kind of option to the users. Okay, this kind of option only works if your data is up to date. If not, you have to create some calculations that will dynamically calculate based on the user input, and we will do those things. Probably you need to create a few parameters which will say like last 1 month, last 30 days, last 60 days, last 90 days. And when the user clicks on that, it will calculate the metrics based on whatever the user has selected and will give you the value dynamically. We will do that when we'll cover parameters. Very important section. We will cover that later, not now. So these are the different filter options for a date field. Okay. Now this is date filter. I'll move to number filter. Okay. Let's say duplicate. I'll remove this order date. And now let's say Sales, I will use as a filter. Okay, sales, I will use as a filter. Now let's say I'll put sales. Now you see again the type of options that you see are different than a date and then a string field. Now by default it's give me all values. Okay, all values, then the options are there. Now let's say if I go ahead with sum, what will happen is I will see exactly the same values that you are seeing here. You see 457, 687 is the latest value, and I'm seeing just that ignore these decimals, is this rounded up. Okay. Now this range of values, because I selected sum and my aggregation in the visualization is sum, that's why I'm getting all these values. Now you can click on OK and you can do a show filter. And let's say you want to see only the values more than 50,000, you can see it from here. All the sales that are above 50,000, you can do it from here. Okay. Now that is one option, but when we did that, right, there was one more option. Let me clear the filter. Let me drag and drop sales again. And there is something called all values. What is this all values? Can anyone guess? What is this all values?
It is taking the individual.
It is taking the
As an individual.
individual rows. Okay, it is taking the individual.
Yes. Individual rows value.
Yeah. So let's say I open the same data set. Okay. And let's say here I'll say OK. And let's say I will just show filter. And let's say I will say 1000. Minimum is 1000. I'll hit enter. Okay. Now I'm getting some values. So now how this thing is happening? Let's say in California, the value is 187,114. Let's see how it is happening. I'll go to that Excel file, and this is my filter called state called California. I will select only California. Okay, and I can see how many rows are there. There are 2000 rows, and I'll go to the right because here I have sales. Now what I have said sales is 1000 at least. So what I will go to this sales, and I will say number filter greater than, and I will say 1000. Okay, now let's say okay. Now you see if I add all of it now, it should match 187, 11429, 187, 114. So basically it is filtering data at individual row level. When you do not use any aggregation while filtering on a number, it will first the filter out data at a row level. Then whatever data is remaining, based on that, the aggregation will happen. Because I chose this option, the first option, which was called all values. All values means without, before aggregation, this will choose at a row level, it will first filter, and then whatever values are remaining, based on that, it will filter and give you those values. But if you use these aggregations, then depends, because I'm using sum of sales here. So this aggregation, just a having clause, you think of it, right? Just a having clause. Now you can correlate how that having works. Any questions, guys? Hello.
No, sir.
Clear, right? So yeah, just need to know these basic things, how they work, right? Similarly, count, minimum, maximum, all those things are there. Now there is something called an attribute. What is this attribute? Most of the times you will see people will use attribute. Attribute is something, it will only work if all the rows will have the same value. If not, it will give an asterisk. Let's say I'm trying to think of a scenario. Let me put city, and let me drag and drop quantity. And let's see. If I go to the aggregation and I select, you see, now this is a good example. I just chose the aggregation as attribute. Now you see few values are coming up and rest all are like asterisk. Let's see this first where we are getting the values. I'll go to view data and what is the anti-os or something orders, and I'll go to quantity and there's only one value. Okay, now let me go to any other example. Let's say 6. I'll go to this orders. Is only one row. So wherever it is only one value present, right? In those cases, you will get this attribute will work. You see, only one. There could be multiple rows present also, but the value should be same. In that case only, this will work. Now, what happened to this asterisk? Let's go and see this asterisk. I'll take this first one. If I go to this asterisk and if I go to orders, you would see there are multiple rows. Okay, it can be present. Okay, now you see these values are all different. So when the values are different, the asterisk will, the attribute attr function will always return an asterisk, or otherwise it will return that value. So this is one just thing I want to call out. In interview, might people ask like, what is an attribute function? What happens if you use an attribute? How the values will change, right? So this is what it is. We covered all the three different filter types.
Can you repeat this? No, I haven't got that. No. If the value is 9, then it's showing 9. But in the dot part, in the attribute, it's showing multiple rows. What's the difference?
That's what I'm saying. When you use attribute as an aggregation, right? Aggregation method, it always returns. It will only return value when the value is same for all the rows. But if there are multiple values for that field that you use, quantity, right? Let's in this example, if I go to the orders, right? You see in quantity, we have multiple values. In that case, it will return an asterisk. If you think all the values are 2 only in this case, then it would have returned a 2 in the output. But since the values are all different, attribute will return an asterisk. That's how attribute works.
So sir,
Okay,
what is the application of the attributes? Means where can we use, or
yeah,
there should
sometimes
be
what
used?
might happen, there would be some aggregation method that may not be available. This sum, average, mean, max, all those things. And you want to, and also sometimes it may happen that you want to see which all values have duplicates or not. I mean, different values. Okay. You are expecting them to return one value, but your data is returning multiple different values. In those cases, this attribute can help you to spot them. Okay, let's say you are expecting Akshay to get a particular amount and he's getting different amounts. In that case, against Akshay, it will give return an asterisk. But if it is same value for all, it will return that value. So by looking at that, you can tell, okay, there are not multiple values present, only one value is present. So it can help you identify the data.
And sir, in graphs, how we will use it?
I know you don't use it in graphs.
Okay,
You don't
just as
use
a table.
Yeah, in tabular report, it is used mostly.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Now let's say I will give you some data. Please try to do it because there are 2 homeworks already pending, and I've also asked you to do that metadata which you haven't started yet. Please do that. But let me give you some data today. Okay, so that you will start working. I'll get some data from my past, whatever I have done. Okay, I'll give you this data. Okay. Okay, I'll give you this Philadelphia real estate transfers. Okay, so there is, oh my God, this file is so big. So there is a hyper file present. I will give you this hyper file. Okay, Philly real estate transfer, and let me show you how it looks. Well, I need to extract, I need to connect to Tableau. Let's see. You double click that, it will come up. Now, if I click on this view data, you see there are some values given. So basically, display date, document ID, document type, mortgage or deed or what it is, and then who are the guarantees, different applications basically taken. Okay, and what happened to those applications? Okay, year over year. Okay, total consideration value and all those things. Let me find that Philadelphia real estate transfer. Let's say I'll find that. Let me go to, I'll just give you a little bit of background. Then I will show you the one that I created. I'll open that as well. It's a little big data. The hyper file itself is 272 MB. So it's a really big one. So how do I know? If I look at this, right, hyper file, look at the size. It is big. So this is one of the sites where you can get free data. Publicly available data sets are present. You can look this. I was trying to find out if there is some topic around it that you will read before working on it. I'm just trying to find that out. So this is what the original visualization that was part of some magazine. I mean, some newspaper magazine. This is what the original data type. There is a by document date. They are trying to find out like how many monthly number of document transactions are there. You can see there is a declining trend starting that 2018, 2008 where we had that big recession, right? So you can cut, that is one point. And here by zip code, they are looking at by document type, what is the document and mortgage satisfaction. So this is the original visualization and this is the source. So here, this is exactly what I was looking at. Let me copy and paste this to the chart. Please take this, otherwise it will what happened is not going. Control enter. Huh? Why I'm not able to? Oh, it needs chart channel. They will. Let me know if you received this, guys. That ping, that chart message. Did you receive?
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
Where did it go? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Am I doing something wrong here? I don't know. Okay, let me do it from here. Yeah. Now you should be getting it. Can you see it? Can you? Why I'm sending directly to? Did you receive it, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So that is the link. You go to that link, you will get information about this data, and there is this link, open data Philly, something like that. Okay. Now the moment you click on it, it gives you the what has been created before this. Okay. Now this is the source, and this is the data like what we already saw, right? So this, it will give you some information like what is happening around it. Okay, so this is the original visualization type. Okay, this is original one, but you will have to recreate that. Anything else? Any other info? No, there is no other info. Okay, so that is the file, basically all the different document type, loan types that was given for real estates, right? And you need to come up with your own visualization by looking at the data. Okay, this is the original visualization. There are so many things that can be improved. This is what I created by looking at the data. So, I mean, pardon me for that black background. You may not choose that. I just thought it looks good, so I created. So, how many real estates, like how many documents pre-recession, post-recession, all those things. And there is some commentary is happening, right? And how the flow goes, right? This is the recession period 2018 to whatever June 2009. So I just found that information from internet, like what is that recession period. So I've color coded that, and then these values, these are basically the document transfers, right? What we saw here, what we were seeing here, right? The same thing I represented like this. Then by month, what are the different transfers, like January each. So basically each year's January, how the trend is. So basically it can help us understand the pattern, what is happening for each month. So you see every 2008-9, every month for that 2008-9, it has like come down, then it started increasing, then and whatever happened there. So this is my take on that. Probably you can make better, you can come up with a better version also. So please try to do that. And you want me to share this workbook also, whatever I have done?
Yes, sir. Please share it.
Okay, I'll share this. You take it as an inspiration, try to do it. Okay, and I will share this extract file. Okay, this extract file I will share, which you can directly work. Okay, any questions, guys, before we stop for today? All right, please try to do it. Tomorrow we'll meet in the morning again. Okay, thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.